I think it's become like a Lionel Messi-Ronaldo situation where
everything you think you know about Matt Armstrong versus Bugatti is wrong. Not the facts, the framing. The VIN lock happened. The CEO made a video. The parts were refused. All of that is accurate. But the relationship between Matt Armstrong and Matty Rimac, the CEO who made that video, who sent the DM that began with, "Hey man, Bugatti so here," is not what the internet turned it into. Matt described it himself on the Cars and Money podcast on April 15, 2026. He said it has become like a Lionel Messi and Ronaldo situation. Two people who are probably mates. Two people who share a passion for hypercars, who have mutual friends, who ended up on opposite sides of a situation neither of them fully controlled. And then Matt said something that changes everything about how you understand this story. Something nobody who covered the original conflict reported. Something that, if true, means Bugatti's refusal to supply parts was never Matty Rimac's decision to begin with. Stay with me because the real story behind this rebuild is considerably more complicated and considerably more interesting than the one the internet told. By April 2026, when Matt sat down on Cars and Money with Rob Moore and Carl Hartley, the build had been running for months. The VIN had been locked and unlocked. The CEO had made his video. Matt had responded. The internet had turned it into a rivalry that neither man had created or wanted. Matt had not spoken publicly in a long, detailed, unfiltered interview about what had actually happened between him and Rimac behind the scenes until this podcast. And what he said across a 55-minute conversation is the most revealing account of the real dynamics behind this rebuild that has ever been on record. The Messi-Ronaldo comparison was not Matt being diplomatic. It was Matt being accurate. Because the dynamic between him and Rimac is not hatred, not genuine animosity, not a manufacturer who despises a YouTuber who exposed their parts pricing. It is two people who love the same things. Hypercars, engineering, the world that exists at the very edge of what cars can do, who ended up on opposite sides of a situation neither of them fully controlled. And here is the specific detail that Matt said which nobody reported properly. Matt believes that Rimac personally told him parts could be sourced. That the CEO, privately, before the public statements, indicated that a solution was possible. And then the tone changed. Matt's exact words, "I do think there is someone else behind his words, because I do think it is strange how the tone has changed." Someone else. Above the CEO of Bugatti Rimac. Let that land for a moment. Matty Rimac is the CEO of Bugatti Rimac. He is the person who responded to the Instagram ultimatum, who sent the "Hey man, Bugatti CO here" DM, who appeared in the public video addressing the rebuild. But Bugatti Rimac is not an independent company. It is majority owned by Porsche AG, which is owned by the Volkswagen Group. Above the CEO, there are shareholders, board members, and legal teams at Volkswagen Group level who understand exactly what the liability implications are of a manufacturer officially facilitating the repair of a crash-damaged vehicle that subsequently causes an accident. Matt's theory, that Rimac personally was willing to find a solution, but someone above him in the corporate structure said no, is not speculation. It is consistent with every publicly observable fact about how this situation unfolded. Rimac's early tone, practical, engineering-focused, willing to engage. His later tone, more formal, more distant, more aligned with a corporate legal position. Someone above him changed the instruction. And Rimac, caught between his personal judgment and his corporate obligations, had to change his tone accordingly. Here is what that means. If Matt's theory is correct, the VIN lock was not Matty Rimac's decision. The CEO of Bugatti may have personally wanted to find a way to work with Matt Armstrong. He may have seen the rebuild as an opportunity rather than a threat. He may have understood that a YouTuber with 6 million subscribers successfully rebuilding a Bugatti with Bugatti's blessing is a far better story for the brand than a YouTuber successfully rebuilding a Bugatti despite everything Bugatti did to stop him. But the corporate structure above him said no. Porsche AG's lawyers said no. Volkswagen Group's liability team said no. Someone in the shareholder structure said no. And Rimac, the CEO who could message a random Instagram account with, "Hey man, Bugatti so here," could not override that decision. This is not unusual in large corporations. The person with the relevant expertise and the relevant relationships is rarely the person with the final authority. The final authority sits at board level. People who have never met Matt Armstrong and do not watch YouTube. That board sees a liability issue, a crash-damaged car, a rebuild, a potential future accident, a manufacturer who facilitated it. They see a legal nightmare. Rimac saw an opportunity, the legal nightmare one. And the tension between Rimac's apparent personal position and the corporate line that eventually emerged is exactly what Matt described as the change in tone. Now here is the part of this story that connects back to the Messi-Ronaldo comparison. Messi and Ronaldo do not hate each other. This has been established through multiple interviews with both players over the years. They respect each other. They occasionally communicate. The greatest individual rivalry in the history of football was created by competition and amplified by the internet into something far more dramatic than the reality. Matt is saying the same thing applies here. He and Rimac like the same things. They have mutual friends. The hypercar world is small. The people who build them and the people who rebuild them know some of the same people. The internet took a corporate dispute and turned it into a personal feud. But Matt's description of Rimac is not the description of an enemy. He said it is absolutely mental that the CEO of Bugatti is not only watching the videos, but made a response video. Mental, not typical, not expected, not the behavior of someone who simply wants this to go away. Mental as in unprecedented. As in this is not what CEOs do. And the fact that Rimac did it says something about how personally invested he was in how this story was being told. A CEO who makes a video response to a YouTube rebuild is a CEO who cares about the narrative, who feels something about the situation, who is not sitting comfortably in a boardroom dismissing what Matt Armstrong is doing. Matt got under Rimac's skin. Not because Rimac hates him. Because Rimac cares about these cars in exactly the same way Matt cares about these cars. Two people who love the same thing, on opposite sides of a situation neither of them chose. Here is the line from the podcast that nobody covered properly. Matt said, "A £400,000 repair bill from the factory is sometimes just a fancy way of saying we don't want you to see what's under the hood." He said that in April 2026, after the Chiron had been started, after the first drive had happened, after every Honda Civic radiator, every Audi A3 airbag, every Porsche crash sensor and Amazon Bolt had been documented publicly on YouTube. We don't want you to see what's under the hood. That is not a statement about safety, not about engineering standards, not about structural integrity. It is a statement about information. The repair premium, the £400,000 quote, the original £1.7 million estimate, is not primarily about the cost of the parts or the skill of the labor. It is about maintaining control over the knowledge of what the car actually contains. The shared VW platform parts, the Honda Civic components, the Audi airbag. Matt found all of it, documented all of it, and put it permanently on YouTube. And the CEO of Bugatti, who has mutual friends with the man who did this, who watched every video, who sent a personal DM, is now living with the consequences of information that can never be unshared. The Messi-Ronaldo comparison is accurate in one final way. The greatest rivalry in the history of football produced the greatest football the world has ever seen. And the greatest automotive rebuild controversy in YouTube history produced the most detailed independent documentation of a Bugatti Chiron that has ever been made public. Both men contributed to something that will outlast the drama. Matt Armstrong and Matty Rimac are not enemies. They have mutual friends. They are both obsessed with the same cars. They are both operating under constraints, Matt under a parts monopoly, Rimac under a corporate structure that neither of them fully designed. The internet turned it into a war. Matt called it Messi and Ronaldo. And then Rimac used the exact same comparison independently. Here is the version of this story the internet never told. A CEO who privately indicated parts could be sourced, then had that position overruled by someone above him, who then had to make a public video defending a corporate line rather than his personal view, and who chose Messi and Ronaldo as his reference point when describing a relationship the internet had turned into warfare. Messi and Ronaldo eventually retired from their rivalry. And then both of them acknowledged, publicly and warmly, what the other had contributed to the game. If this story follows the same arc, If the Bugatti chapter closes, the car gets its plates, the rebuild is complete. The acknowledgement between Matt and Rimac is not just possible. It is the ending this story has been building toward all along.